Wow. Well, it has been a while since I have played this game or been anywhere near this game. Stepped away for a while, to be honest, and now I'm back because I've been, seeing stirrings of classic WoW, and obviously that excites me. That's the game that I want to play. I don't really care for TBC or Wrath of the Lich King nearly as much. Played them a little bit, got burnt out pretty fast on both expansions. So in the meantime, I just have been doing stuff in my real life and not been playing WoW. So it's kind of nice to see classic WoW kind of stretching its legs and people getting back on. And I wanted to share an old video that I made that actually didn't get nearly as much traction at the time when I made it. And it is a look at Classic Plus, kind of how I would like to see some of it implemented. I'm going to let this video play. I'll have timestamps below if you've already seen this video and you just want to skip to the end to hear my thoughts on kind of more updated thoughts on the matter, then definitely skip to the end. If you want to see the video, enjoy. BlizzCon is right around the corner. The Classic WoW development team has said for quite some time that the direction that Classic takes is really dependent on the fans and the players and what we push for, whether that is fresh servers, Burning Crusade and Onward, or Classic Plus content. Now, I truly enjoy and have enjoyed the content between Burning Crusade and the Cataclysm. However, I want to give you, as viewers and fans of Classic WoW, a reason why I think Classic Plus content is really the route that Blizzard should take. First, if retail WoW was amazing and kept in the spirit of Classic, Classic servers would not even need to be on the table. The reason that players wanted Classic was that we were discontent and we were unhappy with the way retail was going. We wanted a game with the core values and systems of Classic WoW, a game which just really seemed to get so much right. If another newer experience was currently on the market, that would have satisfied our hunger for content, and Classic WoW again would not be needed. But we see ourselves playing Classic WoW, a game that is more or less 15 years old. So my overall point is, while I love Classic, and I also love the Burning Crusade, I'd much rather play something that's new, has new content, has new experiences, and has new items. Now, what Blizzard needs to understand is that Classic WoW players don't need patches that are filled with new items that put our Nax gear to shame, brand new professions, brand new talent trees, and brand new skills. We all enjoy the core content behind Classic WoW. And Classic WoW is all about the little things. An exciting new trinket that takes weeks or months to find and put together, new profession recipes that are hidden behind reputations or long grinds, new consumables, silly one-time use items, or just a unique way of seeing the world as it is. I really think Zul'Gurub is a perfect example of content done right. It was a 20-man raid release after Blackwing Lair. Now, while there were a few pieces of gear that are better, most players in Blackwing Lair gear will find few upgrades in Zul'Gurub. Yet players still run it week after week. They run it for the experience. They run it for the world buff. They run it for the reputation. They run it for the very unique class items that have some very amazing uses. And let's just talk about these items real fast. You have items that instantly increase your rage by 20. You have Warlock items that increase your critical strike rating by 140 for 20 seconds. Shaman has one that increases their lightning shield damage by 305 for 20 seconds. And you have rogues that increase their energy by 60. Now, some of these items are just insane. You have a hunter item that instantly clears the cooldowns of aim shot, multi-shot, and volley. You have a mage item that reduces the cooldown of counterspell by 2 seconds, and another warrior item that reduces the cost of hamstring by 2 rage points. Now, all of these items are very unique and very useful even late into the game for things like PvP and solo gameplay. Now, we can see that Zul'Gurub While it's not pushing the pinnacle of content or the hardest content, it is still relevant all the way to next content, which is exactly why I think a lot of the content within Classic WoW is just so awesome. So let's wrap things up. Moving forward, I hope for Classic Plus content. I hope for content that doesn't inflate the economy, doesn't increase our stats higher than Naxxramas gear, and doesn't devalue the content in Classic currently. I don't want balance changes to talent trees or spells. I don't want nerfs or fixes to old content. I do, however, hope for unique new items, fun gadgets, trinkets, or consumables. I hope for items or set bonuses that make for unique gameplay or strengthened spells and abilities. I hope for more items that encourage trying different spells and mechanics for your class, and I hope for new reputations or added storylines and quest lines from original Classic WoW. And in the end, I just hope for Classic WoW and the Classic WoW development team to stick to the core gameplay elements that have made and continue to make Classic WoW a truly amazing experience. Alright guys, back to 2023 me. This was a video that I put out right before BlizzCon for TBC announcement. It was kind of up in the air whether TBC was coming out or they were going to try and do Classic Plus. They had sent out some surveys to different people in the community to kind of give some feedback, and this was just me kind of discussing what I think I would like to see with Classic continuing into Classic Plus rather than TBC. I also kind of did a mock-up of what I thought would be a cool patch, which was Karazhan Crypts. I also did a little preview at some different pieces of gear. I personally think, looking back on this, I still feel very much the same way. I love Classic WoW. I love the way it plays. I love the world. I love the cozy aspect of all things Classic. There's just no real rush or worry about being the best. Raids are very easy. There's really no issues overall. It's just a social game. There's no real hiccups until you really get into the later raids rather, and even those obviously are rather easy. Obviously nowadays people like to push things, so you still have guilds trying to speed clear things, getting all the world buffs and everything, and going through the raids as fast as possible with the fewest amount of deaths, trying to get all those pink parses. And I like that. I mean, I think that's a cool way of being able to play the game as well, but I do like how casual and easy Classic is for players. Now, I'm going to just quickly discuss what I think I would like to see from Classic Plus, if that ever did happen. I really like the idea of minimal changes. I think once you start making a lot of changes, then it kind of throws off a ton of things. So for example, I know a lot of people say it would be a lot more fun to have updated talents from maybe TBC or kind of overhaul of classes, but I think this just causes way too much work for Blizzard. We all know that they are not good with this kind of thing. They don't have a great track record with making these kind of changes that the community would be happy with. I think if they did something like changing talent trees or anything like that, then what would happen is you'd have a lot of other balance issues. You'd have to retune raids. You'd have to retune health of bosses. Otherwise, it would be a complete face roll. And I just don't really see this being the best option. I think the janky kind of quirky, weird talents that a lot of classes have, I think those are good in the spirit of Classic. I don't think they should be changed, to be honest. I think that pieces of gear should be added to the game, and the way that you get these pieces can be from a myriad of different things, whether it's crafting professions, whether it's dungeons, whether it's reputations. I think that adding new items into the game with on-use effects, with class-specific mechanics, that I think would be a better solution for changing up how some classes feel. You could easily give items that allowed shamans to regenerate mana a little bit better, for elemental in PvE. You could do things similar for boomkins. You could give Rhett some kind of damage on use trinket. You could even give them some sort of Librum that basically works as a additional attack, or something similar to like Crusader Strike. I think these things would allow classes to get a little bit of that love that they feel like they didn't have, but also stay in touch with Classic's roots, which is, not everything's fair, not everything is smooth and working properly. You have weird items from all sorts of different level ranges that are still usable at endgame, and I really enjoy that. In terms of the content that I would love to see Classic WoW take if it went for Classic Plus, it would be smaller changes that just on as a whole affected the world more. So reasons to go back to older zones, reasons to pick up older, like a new profession, getting like new recipes, working on some factions, maybe some factions that had very little representation in the game back then, such as like Explorers League, or let's see what else, Ravenhold, the Syndicate rep, all those. If you wanted to, Blizzard could easily take those reputations and give more of a reason to not only grind out those reputations, but maybe give some quest hubs, maybe give some trinkets or items that you could unlock, things that would not change the game too much, but also just give more of a reason to go explore and play the game. I think what we've seen with the Classic WoW community is that we are very good at creating kind of mini games and new fun ways of playing the game within the existing universe of Classic WoW. I think Classic WoW is quite good at being sandboxy and just kind of big and open. And I think that there's a lot of things that Blizzard could play into this to strengthen Classic Plus and the ability to have fun with the game. I think the hardcore game mode is a great thing that we could see with Classic Plus, or even with just fresh servers in general. I do think that should not be the end-all be-all. I think that should be a small, kind of a side thing you can do, or a just a single realm for hardcore. I think hardcore will be very, very popular at first, but then I think that over time you will have people that just kind of log on to their hardcore character every once in a while, or when they're bored, they'll go start a new hardcore character to try out. I don't think it really has as much longevity as other things. Not to say that I don't love it. Obviously, I love hardcore gameplay, and I have partaken in some of the early hardcore tournaments and things like that, and I had a great time doing it. I just think that overall, in terms of being able to go out and explore the world and take part in the whole game, you're just always so worried about dying, which is fun, but it makes it so that you sit around in the capital city a lot, or you end up just not playing quite as much. Whereas if that was just kind of a side thing to do, I think that would be a much better way to handle things. So I know I've kind of rambled a little bit, but these are just some of the ideas that I had. Oh, another really, really big one that I think is... Okay, before I get to that point, guys, I just jumped in here. Sorry. I'm kind of rusty at all this YouTube stuff. But the other thing that I wanted to point out is I think less is more. I think that once you say... that's kind of what the no changes crowd was early on. But once you say, let's make a change to, this class, or let's buff certain bosses in encounters or whatever, it opens the door to other players wanting, X, Y, or Z. They say, I really like Death Knights. Why can't Death Knights be in Classic WoW? Or, Monk. I play Monk on retail. Why aren't monks in the game? And it continues on to where you get to a point where Classic is unrecognizable. So I really think very slight changes, or just... I think that overall the game shouldn't be changed. I think there should just be some things added to it. And when I say added to it, I mean specifically content that is like questing, some gear options, some trinkets, some maybe on-use effects, just overall adding a little bit more gameplay to the game, but not going so far as to change the way classic feels. And I mean, there's so many avenues where classic WoW could be affected by this kind of stuff, and I really don't. That's the hard part about asking for changes is I don't really know where you draw the line because, for example, some people really think that leveling is super slow in classic. It is kind of slow, I think. I mean, I'd rather be 60 right away. Obviously, I've done it several times, and I'm probably in the minority. There's a lot of people out there that are like, I love the adventure. I love leveling up. I do at times. I like some of it, but then other times I'm just like, I want to get to level 55 and be able to start doing some end game raid or dungeons and stuff to gear up. And so I think that you can't make everyone happy. That's the thing. Like if Blizzard comes out and says they're releasing fresh servers, but it's going to be twice as fast leveling, there'll be people that are like, man, you can't change the way classic is. Classic, the leveling in classic was perfect. Or there's going to be people out there that say only 2 times. Like, no, man, I think we should get instant level 60s. I think no matter what you do, you're not going to make everyone happy. That's why I think that the best thing to do is to make very small changes that impact the way the game feels in terms of the world, gives some more freshness to things, some new experiences, but don't change things up enough that it doesn't even feel like classic anymore. So that was just one thing that I wanted to kind of chime in on, because I think that's a lot of the thing. A lot of what happens is, people get excited about fresh, and they get excited about, oh, let's do fresh classic with, classic plus might be on the table. Let's see all the things that we could change, when in reality, once you start changing a lot to the game, then it's not even classic at that point. And I understand that's the whole point of Classic Plus, but you still want the core game to feel the same. Okay, on to the last point that I was going to make, and then we'll wrap things up. Racials. So racials are huge in Classic WoW. This is actually probably one of the biggest deals, I think, of Classic WoW. So if you play anything besides an orc on the Horde and you're wanting to do PvP, you're kind of just handicapping yourself. Now, obviously, if you're going to play a mage, you're going to play probably an undead for PvP, because you can't be an orc. But basically, anyone that can be an orc, or who worries about getting stun locked or stunned by a rogue or any of those kind of things, grenades, all that stuff, you want to be an orc because of the stun resist. And now on the opposite side of things, a lot of classes that worry about movement impairing effects are going to go gnome for getting out of getting out of slows rather. And then you have people playing gnome on the alliance for their intellect buff. You have people playing human for certain weapon skills. The list goes on. Obviously, the classes, in my opinion, should really come down to what you want your character to look like, instead of feeling like you're stuck in a role just because of the racials. So my way around that is I think the racials should stay the same. I think that's completely fine. I do think, however, that Blizzard should make it so that if you hit Exalted with another faction, so say I'm undead and I level to 60, and then I'm saying, hey man, I really wish I had, troll racials. I can go and get my troll reputation all the way to Exalted, and then what that would allow me to do is probably through the faction leader or something like that, you would be able to go and, similar to a respec cost, let's say 50 gold, you would be able to pay 50 gold to change your racials over to the troll racials. You would lose your undead racials, but you would get the troll racials instead. Now you could possibly change back again for a gold sync, and that would allow you to play a little bit more of the race that you wanted to in terms of aesthetics, but it would still allow you to benefit from all of the racial abilities that only certain racials or certain races have, rather. And then obviously in terms of cross faction stuff, I guess you're just out of luck on that one. You couldn't be a a gnome with the orc racials. But that's just kind of one of my small solutions for that. I'd love to hear kind of what you guys think about Classic Plus and some different ideas that you have in the comments down below. In terms of, am I going to make more videos? Yeah, here and there I probably will, just like I have in the past. But I just kind of wanted to jump back on because I've been hearing a lot of stuff about Classic, and obviously it's been making me excited. So yeah, take care, guys. See you later.